Hey, how's it going YouTube? I'm back in the video, and today I'm going to be doing a redraft of the 2018 NBA draft. Now, if you go back and look at this was the Luka Doncic, Trae Young, Deandre Ayton draft, all three of which had very, very good playoffs. Deandre Ayton obviously still being in the NBA Finals right now and playing very well in the NBA Finals, so this is going to be a very good draft just from the top three. But even when you redraft the entire thing, 1 through 15 are all very quality players. And honestly, once this draft class is all gone and retired and it's all said and done, this legitimately could be one of the best draft classes in NBA history, because the top three most definitely could be potential Hall of Famers, plus they have other potential All-Stars or future All-Stars also sprinkled in there along the way. So I'm getting to all the picks 1 through 15. I'm going through the entire lottery. I'm going to all that. So if you do like the video point, hit the like button and subscribe button. That means the absolute world to me. And if you don't know how to hit subscribe, actually it's that red button right under the video, and you just click that and make it gray. Boom. If it's already gray, you're fine. Don't touch it, okay? If it's gray, it's actually illegal to touch, so you can't. But if it's red, then it's full. You can touch it, okay? It's like a dog. You can pet it, you can touch it, do whatever you want with it. But yeah, so like I said, like the video point, hit the like button and subscribe button. I mean the absolute world to me. But without further ado, without running on too much, just get right into this video. Alright, so with the first overall pick, I have the Phoenix Suns selecting Luka Doncic. Now, I know, yes, they originally selected Deandre Ayton, and that has worked out very well for them. As you see, they're currently in the NBA Finals. I don't think you can argue Luka Doncic is worse than Deandre Ayton, and Deandre Ayton was the better pick. You cannot argue that. Now, yes, Deandre Ayton is an all-star level player and could be one of the better centers in the league in the very near future, but Luka Doncic is currently an MVP contender and is probably a decent team away from making the Dallas Mavericks a legit finals contender. So I think for sure Luka Doncic would be the pick here, because a duo of Devin Booker and Luka would be absolutely insane and equally as unguardable. And now you would have Chris Paul, Devin Booker, and Luka Doncic this year, except for Devin Booker, DeAndre Ayton, and Chris Paul, which they have right now. And what sounds more dangerous to you? I think Luka Doncic would make them an instant NBA Finals favorite, opposed to just dark horse contender like they were this year. So yes, Ayton was a great pick at number 1 originally, but I do think Luka Doncic is undoubtedly the next best player in the entire draft. Not next best, the best player in this draft class. And now with the number 2 overall pick, I have the Sacramento Kings selecting Deandre Ayton. Now hold up, you Trae Young fans, do not come for my neck yet. The reason I have them selecting Deandre Ayton is because the Kings already had both Buddy Hield and De'Aaron Fox. So there was no chance in hell they're picking an undersized guard. At the time, that's how people saw him, an undersized guard who can't play defense and is only a scorer with the 2nd overall pick, when they already have their point guard of the future and shooting guard of the future. The Kings were never going to select Trae Young. It didn't matter how much they liked him or disliked him, they weren't picking him. But what they did need was a very good big man, as they had already gotten rid of DeMarcus Cousins at this point and were in need of an upgrade over Willie Cauley-Stein. So I think for sure DeAndre Ayton would have been the pick here for the Kings if you do run it back and Luka gets picked first. And I think for sure, although yes, Trae Young may be the better player and maybe the more upside type guy, I think the Kings would still go with DeAndre Ayton if they were able to do it all over again. And now with the number 3 overall pick, we're going to be going the Dallas Mavericks. And the Dallas Mavericks actually selected Trae Young in the original draft. They just traded him for Luka Doncic, which in my opinion, it was a good trade because you got Luka Doncic. But I mean, honestly, they couldn't have went wrong either way. If they would have kept Trae Young or not, they still would have been getting an excellent player. And Trae Young would now be going to the Dallas Mavericks, and that would give them a very good young guard, and they would pretty much be in the same situation they are now. Now, they probably wouldn't have Kristaps Porzingis because they wouldn't have been anywhere near as close as contending as fast as they were, because it did take Trae Young a few years, or about a year, to really assert himself himself as being an elite scorer in the league. So I don't think they would have traded for Kristaps, or they wouldn't have gave up as much as they did for Kristaps. So I think they would be probably a little bit worse than they are right now, but still they would be on the right track because they now have one of the league's premier young talents in the entire NBA. And now with the number 4 overall pick, we have the Memphis Grizzlies selecting, once again, Jaren Jackson Jr. I know it's kind of lame having them pick the exact same guy, but Jaren Jackson Jr. is probably the most underrated guy in this draft class. He is a very solid player, maybe a future all-star, has shown tons of potential to stretch the floor at the power forward position, and also be able to bang down low, grab rebounds, block shots. He's a very solid player, a very versatile player, and like I said, could potentially be a future all-star. And now with the number 5 overall pick, we have the Atlanta Hawks going with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. So although the Hawks aren't getting as good of a guard as they got originally with Trae Young, they are still getting a potential all-star level player in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. And he's one of my favorite players in the NBA just because his cousin is on the Pelicans. And then through that, I just like Shai Gilgeous and how he plays and everything. I think he impacts winning very good. So Atlanta would still be getting a very, very solid player and a very good point guard to go in the future with. And yeah, now, yes, he's not Trae Young, but he is still maybe an all-star level player in the future. And that's all you can ask for from the 5th overall pick. And now with the number 6 overall pick, we have the Orlando Magic going with Collin Sexton. Now, Collin Sexton's kind of a controversial player. Some teams love him. Some people love him that he scores so much and they think he's very good and is going to be a potential all-star. But then other players and teams see him as a ball hog, not that good, and he's just overall a shot chucker and like stat chaser type of guy. So I'm kind of on the fence with him. I want to see him on an actual good team, but I think Orlando would definitely still be taking Collin Sexton here because, I mean, in the original draft, they picked Mohamed Bamba when they already had Nikola Vucevic and Jonathan Isaac on the roster. Orlando Magic's gonna Orlando Magic, and they picked probably the biggest bust in the entire lottery of this draft, at least this early especially. So I think for sure they would go with Collin Sexton to pair with Nikola Vucevic, Jonathan Isaac, and players like that, and they would definitely have had a better core if they would have went with Sexton with this pick opposed to Mohamed Bamba. And now with the number 9 overall pick, I have the Chicago Bulls selecting Mikal Bridges. Now, Mikal Bridges I'm picking him over Michael Porter Jr. because as of right now, I think Mikal is the better player. I'm not saying in the future, but I'm saying as of right now, Mikal would help the Bulls win more than Michael Porter Jr. would have. And I do think Mikal Bridges is one of the best, if not the best defender in this entire draft class. And he has also shown tons of potential of a scoring upside. And if he can ever get to where he's a 20-point per game scorer, he will be an all-star level player. And he just has so much upside due to his defensive versatility and how he can guard literally 1 through 5 on the court pretty effectively and just shut down any team's best wing player on any given night is almost invaluable. And invaluable, I guess, would be the better word. But still, Mikal Bridges, in my opinion, right now is the better player over Michael Porter Jr. But now with the number 8 overall pick, I have exactly him, Michael Porter Jr., going to Cleveland with the 8th overall pick, as he would be a great day 1 starter, and he would have been a huge upgrade over Cedi Osman, who they had at the small forward at the time, and I still think currently, no, they have Isaac Curry there, but I mean, yeah, so I do think for sure Michael Porter Jr. would have been a huge upgrade over Cedi Osman, and he probably would have been able to develop even faster in Cleveland than he did with the Nuggets. And overall, I think he would have fit in very, very well with that Cleveland Cavaliers team that they had at the time. And now with the number 9 overall pick, we have the New York Knicks selecting Marvin Bagley. Now, Marvin Bagley would have given them a huge 1-2 punch at the 4 and 5 positions because they still had Kristaps Porzingis at the time. And now you'd have a 7'3" Kristaps Porzingis at center, and then Marvin Bagley, a very athletic, strong power forward. And they could have made a very strong punch because although Bagley is not looked at as one of the more premier players in this draft, he is still a very, very solid player and a very good starting level power forward in this league, and he would have served more than enough of his purpose with the New York Knicks. Now, yes, they probably wouldn't have Julius Randle right now because they would have had Bagley, but still, at the time, Bagley would have been a great addition to this New York Knicks team at the 9th overall pick. And now with the number 10 overall pick, we have the Phoenix Suns selecting Wendell Carter Jr. Now, Wendell Carter Jr., although not not living up to the hype he once had when he was coming out of college, is still once again a nice starting level to six-man level player in the NBA. He's a very traditional type player. He can extend the floor sometimes, but he's still more of a shot blocking, rebounding, scoring in the paint type guy. And honestly, Wendell Carter Jr., like I said, he's pretty much at his peak. He's a 10-10 type of guy. That's about where he's been in for the last 2 years. So unless he has major improvement, which I don't see coming, and the only way I can see that happening is if this change of scenery with Orlando somehow opens up some potential that Chicago wasn't able to do, which like I said, I don't see happening. I think this is what he's going to be, and he's just a very solid starting level center in the NBA, or a six-man type guy on a contending team. So although not a terrible player, not a player as hyped up as he once was coming out of college. And now with the number 11 overall pick, we have the Los Angeles Clippers selecting Mitchell Robinson. Now Mitchell Robinson was originally, I'm pretty sure, a second-round pick, and Mitchell Robinson is now jumping all the way up to the 11th pick, which shows you just how deep and good this draft class actually is. Because the fact that someone as talented as him is going 11th in this class shows you how just deep and how talented and deep it is, which is very, very impressive. But the Clippers would be getting Robinson, who would add tons of rim protection to this team, tons of athleticism, and would either give them a very nice trade piece in the future, which, I mean, because this was obviously before they got Kawhi Leonard and Paul George on the roster, there would either be a very nice trade piece for somebody, or it could be a very nice core piece to help contend once you did get Kawhi and Paul George on your roster. And now with the number 12 overall pick, we have the Charlotte Hornets selecting Kevin Huerter. Now Kevin Huerter is a very solid three-point shooter, probably one of the best shooters to come out of this draft class, maybe the best shooter to come out of this draft class. And he would have paired very well with Kemba Walker. He would have spread the floor more for the team, and he would have just been one of those guys you can never have enough three-point shooting, and he would have provided just that elite three-point shooting from the guard position. And now with the number 13 overall pick, we have the Los Angeles Clippers picking once again, and they would be getting Devonte Graham. Now Devonte Graham had kind of just had a late renaissance to his career, because he didn't start off the best, but now he's found a home with Charlotte, and he has looked much, much better, at least from a scoring perspective, and he would have been a great scorer to come off the Clippers bench, or maybe even an immediate starter at the time of this draft, over someone like Milos Teodosic, who I'm pretty sure was their starting point guard at the time. So for sure, Devonte Graham would have been a very solid player at the 13th overall pick. And now going into the home stretch, we have the second to last pick, which is the Denver Nuggets selecting Robert Williams. Now Robert Williams is a developmental type player at the time, and he has developed into a very nice player in Boston. So assuming he would stay on that same developmental track with the Denver Nuggets, he would have been a very nice Paul Millsap type player, coming off the bench, providing energy, providing athleticism, rebounding, strength, like that real tough, gritty type of player you want off your bench, and he would have provided that exact role for them, and he would have been a great replacement for Paul Millsap when he ultimately does retire. And now with the 15th overall pick, we have the Washington Wizards selecting Dante Divincenzo. Now Dante Divincenzo would be a very nice starting level guard at the time because John Wall was injured. He would have paired with Bradley Beal very well. He's a very solid defender, very solid scorer, and just a very solid player all around. And with the 15th overall pick would be a great addition to a team, because at 15, you're not supposed to be getting the most talented, and that's exactly what Dante Divincenzo is. Not the most talented player, but still a very nice role player to go along with any team in the NBA, and he would fit in almost any system. But unfortunately, guys, that's going to be my first video. So comment below, do you agree with me? Do you think that this is the order it would go if it was a 2018 redraft? On your thoughts in the comment section below. And if you did like the video at any point, hit the like button and subscribe button. That'd mean the absolute world to me. Like I said, if it's red, click it. If it's not, just stay away from it. It's like a virus. Just stay away from it if it's not already. If it's gray already, just stay away from it, okay? But yeah, like I said, hope you have a blessed day. Have a blessed day. So you need to have a blessed day. All glory to God. See you in the next video. Goodbye. Boo. Blah.